All right, my friends, let's see if we can use FRED to learn about macro data. I'm going to share a screen for a quiz on Canvas. There we go. 4 questions. First one, what was the size of real GDP, billions of chained 2017 dollars, SAAR, in Q1 2025? We know chained is the moniker for R, real. 2017 is the date at which that chaining takes place to convert from nominal to real. Seasonally adjusted, you know what that means, annual rate. That is going to convert from the typical to what you would have once you account for seasonal fluctuations. How do I find this? A couple ways. Follow along, bea.gov. And when you go to bea.gov, you can see right there, gross domestic product. Come on. There we go. That is not what we're asking for. Okay, it says 3.3. Yeah, but we're looking for the size in billions of dollars. So we don't need a percentage change. Let's go over here. Let's download the full report. And the full report's going to start out like this. And you scroll down and you got a bunch of info, a bunch of tables, helps you sleep at night. Table 1, these are all percent change. That's not what I need. Table 2, contributions. That's not what I need. Table 3, there we go. Level. So I got billions of dollars. That's what I was asking for. Seasonally adjusted annual rate. That's what I was asking for, but no chained over here. Boom. We got the chain, seasonally adjusted annual rate. And Q1 was 23512.7. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it, go to data, Fred. Let's look up Fred. Don't just Google Fred. You find a guy playing a trumpet. All right, so you click on GDP and you get real gross domestic product. And this is the number that we were talking about. I want to zoom in. Let's look at 1 year. Let's edit the graph. Let's format this to a bar, not a scatter, to a bar. And 1 year horizon. Hover over Q1, 23512.717. That's exactly what we just saw. Another way to do it. Let's go to Excel. Okay, so what I'm going to do is zoom in. We need a few things. First off, we need the FRED ticker. How do I find the FRED ticker if I didn't give it to you? When you go to FRED, you can find it right there. Now, you don't need to do an Excel if you're on FRED already. You have the answer, but A2, put in Lin. What is Lin? No transformation. Put in Q for quarterly. I put in since the beginning of 2024. You click Get Data, and Q1 is 23512.7. In just a few seconds, I gave you 3 ways to answer that question. Next up, what was the year-over-year percent delta in our GDP in that first quarter? So how do I do this? Go back to the BEA report. Um, no, I don't have it there. I could take the Q1 divided by Q1 of 25 versus 24, but I don't have that Q1 number. When I go to the percentage changes that are up here, these are quarter over quarter. That's the preceding period. So that ain't going to do it for you. Let's go over here, back to Fred, click Edit Graph, go to Edit Units, percent change from a year ago. 1.99. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another way, let's go to Excel for Excel nerds like me. Let's take exactly what we had before, GDPC1, Q11 2024, and I want to change the units. What units should I use? Go to Data Manipulation, and you see all the possibilities. PC1 is percent change year ago. And click that, 1.99, exactly what we saw on Fred. 2 ways to do it really quickly. Let's keep going. What was the German RGDP QQ percent delta SAAR in the second quarter? I'm not going to expect you to go and find that on Fred. I gave you the ticker. So you could go to Fred, put it right there, real gross domestic product. So these are millions of chained euros, quote unquote dollars, seasonally adjusted. It is not an annual rate of change. So we need to convert it to a rate of change. Which rate of change? That's just euros. That's euros from a year ago. That's a percent change, which is what we want. That's a percent change from a year ago. That's kind of what we want. There we go. I want it to be annualized rate of change, compound annual rate of change. Let's put that to a bar. Let's put that to 1 year ago. Q2 minus 1.1. All right. Or we could go to Excel. And I want to do this two ways just to show off a little bit. Put in the same ticker next to one another. Put one date in A1. It's got to be in A1. That allows you to pull multiple series across a single date. These are both quarterly. I'm going to have them both starting from the beginning of 2024. You do not need to enter in the end date. First one, I just want to put the level. Next one, PCA. How do I know PCA? Data manipulations, compound, annual rate of change. Okay, so when you go ahead and then you pull that data in from FRED, get data, you get these two columns. So there it is, minus 1.1. That's what I needed. That's what I wanted. Or what we could do is compute that same quarter over quarter annualized rate of change by raising to the fourth power, 4/4, fourth power, and that is minus 1.1. Same answer, minus 1.1. Data has been updated since last I wrote that. Okay, next up. Using the GDP implicit price deflator, GDPDEF, tell me how much inflation there has been since the 2017 period as of Q2 2017, 2025. So let's put in GDPDEF. GDPDEF, implicit price deflator. Before you click on it, take a peek. Index is 2017 equals 100. The question was asking you about 2017, and it was using the index value. So we're going to use that to our advantage. And I have a bunch of numbers, pretty high, pretty high, pretty high, pretty high. Q2 was 128.055. What does that mean? Well, if the index was 2017 equals 100, and now it's at 128, that means that gap between those two represents inflation as measured by the implicit price deflator. We were asking since Q2, as of Q2 2025. So we could do this in a couple of ways. Right there, I can compute it off of FRED, or I can go to Excel, GDP, DEF, Lin, Q, 1/1/2024, pull it in, and you get that same 128.055. So you could even do it like this if you want. You could take this divided by the 2017 period, which was 100, minus 1, and you get nice and pretty, come on, boom, boom, 28%. Or even if you want more decimals, 28.055%. So at least two ways to do it there. All right. Macro data with FRED. Hope that helps. Good luck.